Hi, folks, and welcome to another Motivational Monday. We are talking about job trauma. It's one of the most requested topics and one of the most responded to topics that I talk about. I think I coined the phrase, actually, because I saw this so often in all the women we talk to on our career clarity calls. And if you haven't booked one of those, please do. You're going to honor yourself with time to talk about your career, what's important to you, what's really been in the way, and really get down to the truth of the matter. You know, if your career is not working out for you, there's some things you've got to take responsibility for. And I'm not saying it's your fault if you have job trauma, but it's something that you have got to fix because you're the only one who can fix it. Yes, you are the only one who can fix the job trauma and the job difficulties, the career stumbling zones that you may be uncovering. As you progress in your life and your career, you're going to have challenges. Some of those challenges are things you can fix that quickly, and some of them are challenges that you need to fix by diving in much deeper into who you are and what is going on. Job trauma is that type of significant deep dive issue. It's going to affect a lot of areas of your life. If you've been touched deeply by something at the workplace, whether that is job loss, bully boss, toxic work environment, being passed over for a promotion, all of these things can have a significant wear and tear pattern on your nervous system. I'm going to explain why that happens, what it's all about, how it affects you, and really some things that you must do in order for it not to continue to affect you, because it will be carried by your nervous system if you don't heal it and recover from it. Nice to see some of you folks. Paige, Darcy, Teresa, Kathy, nice to see you ladies. Feel free to pop in and say hello so I know that you're here. I might have a little trigger in my brain to address something that one of these beautiful ladies might have going on, or feel free to ask a question. I'll address it live here on the Facebook Live for you today. So job trauma is one of those things. What do I do now, Mo? I'm going to tell you something. When you have job trauma, it is going to hurt you. Just like any other trauma. You know, if you're in a car accident, doesn't it affect you for a long time? If you have physical trauma to your body, you're going to see it and feel it literally in your muscles and bones. If you have the stress syndrome, you may be judging yourself and thinking, why am I not over this yet? You know, I've been in a couple of near-miss car accidents, and just even the near miss shoots a level of adrenaline into your body that you have a stress response from, and it impacts you, and it actually wears you out. You know, let's look at another type of trauma pattern. I recently broke my foot. It was August, so it was 5 months ago. And, oh, thanks, Kathy. I'm glad your job is doing great. One of our happy clients, so happy to hear about that. When I broke my foot, I had been getting some tendinitis and was giving it a little rest. And one day I woke up and thought that I could go ahead and go out for my normal daily walk. And so out we go for our daily walk, my partner and I. And about a half a mile into the walk, my bones cracked in my foot. Just cracked. And I knew from that point on I couldn't bear weight. Now, of course, I tried to bear weight because but I could not bear weight on my foot. You know that ripple of stress and anxiety you get coursing through your entire body? You know, when that adrenaline shot comes like sort of sick to your stomach, your knees get a little wobbly, and you're just not feeling good? Well, that's exactly what happened when I broke my foot. And so I had to go into survival mode in order to find a place to sit down. It was actually, of course, it starts raining. My partner heads home as fast as possible to go get the car. And I found one of those stands where, you know, in housing developments, the security guard area. So I went over there and was able to sit down until she came with the car. Soon enough, she came with the car. It felt like forever, to be honest with you, but my foot's like hurting. It's broken. I can't stand. I'm confused. I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to do next. Ever feel that way about anything? So she picks me up. I hobble my way into the car. I hobble my way home, up the way to get back home. And as soon as I got inside, I had this overwhelming tiredness. Like I literally almost felt like I was drugged. And what that was is an absolute exhaustion of the dose of adrenaline that had been coursing through my body since the minute that my bone snapped. That level of hormonal insult into the body is going to exhaust all of the cells and your metabolism so that you're going to just feel exhausted. So that physical trauma caused that type of acute episode. It's hardwired in my nervous system. Talking about it right now, I'm feeling some of the same feelings that I felt that morning. It still is pretty recent in my memory, and the thought of having tendonitis again and possibly breaking my foot is still real for me. So all the patterns around that trauma are still part of my nervous system, and it's still part of my present reality because it's like right here, just a little bit in the past. So as soon as something looks or feels like the past, all of that memory comes flooding forward, and I relive it. And every time I tell the story, I relive the story. Thank you, Aaron. Whether what to do now is to call more for a clarity call. Hear your soul's job trauma. Absolutely, Aaron, and you're just so rocking it. I love it. So all of that trauma that is in your nervous system gets relived every time you think about it, every time you talk about it, every time you emotionalize about it. Over and over, it gets relived. Guess what happens? Your nervous system has now a trodden pathway, and that trauma becomes embedded. Truth be told, your nervous system doesn't actually know if you live through something in the physical world or if you just imagine it. Every time you think and feel a certain way, it's as if it's reality. And so you have to heal from that. Otherwise, that well-trodden nervous system path is going to keep showing up. And it may not be something that's stopping you from acting a certain way in the world, but I'm going to tell you what, it's bringing an energetic signature. And here's what happens. I was just talking to a woman on a clarity call about this. She lost her job last week, and I'm really trying to get her going in the workshop so we can get her back on the road to recovery and into a great new job ASAP. You are telegraphing your negative energetic pattern or your positive energetic pattern. With every interaction, every time you hit the submit button for your resume or an application, every time a hiring manager calls you and how you talk about yourself and your circumstances, there's an energetic signature that travels with your words. You can't help yourself. You can't articulate over that energy. Well, I'm saying all the right things, Mo, and they're still not calling me back. I really think I nailed the interview and I'm not hearing back from them. Or they told me I was qualified and I was in the last round, but I wasn't the one they chose. Here's what's happening. They're hanging up the phone, or you're leaving the interview and this is what they're saying. Yeah, she's got all the right qualifications, but I don't know, just something about her. Versus when your energy is vibing at a high place of confidence, certainty, and alignment with your soul, education, expertise, and your experience, when that's all lined up and you feel awesome, you're interviewing in a way where you're leaving the room and they're like, we got to get her on this in this company. We've got to get her going. If you're positive vibing, that's what they're saying when you leave or when you hang up the phone. If you're in job trauma pattern, negative vibrational energy, they're going to say, yeah, she has the experience, but I don't know, just something I didn't really like, didn't really jive. And you can't do anything about that except heal that energetic pattern, which you can do. It takes deep work. It does. It takes expertise to line you up with all the right strategies, but you can't just have strategies alone. That doesn't heal the job trauma. That's like that proverbial putting lipstick on a pig. It's still a pig. I'm not calling you a pig. I'm just using a very awkward metaphor. So, and I couldn't walk on a broken foot. I couldn't pretend that my broken foot wasn't there. It had to heal. And I had to stay off of it for it to heal. What does that mean? I couldn't keep pushing on the same pattern of energy. I couldn't keep doing that. Otherwise, it would keep breaking. What I had to do was support the broken foot. I had to lay off of it. I had to make sure it healed. Now, in a physical energy, we can do some things to heal it up, but it takes time. In a psychic, mental injury, we can kind of compress time a little bit because we're dealing with energy more than we're dealing with physicalness. So you have to have healing time. You have to have rehab time. And once you have all of that, you can then powerfully proceed. And that energetic pattern, that break will no longer affect you. But it will come up and affect you if it doesn't get healed. If I started walking on my foot 3 or 4 weeks after the break, which I actually did one day thinking I was like out of the woods. No, I probably did more damage to it, honestly. But I was like, it's got to be healed by now. Those foot fractures don't heal quickly, in case you're wondering. Okay, so I had to give all of the healing. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I lost my job 6 times in my career, and I know the same thing to be true about job loss. I can honestly say perhaps 2 of those times were literally they didn't like me anymore. I pissed off the wrong people. But there were times where the job just went away. Closing down that division, company got bought out, selling the assets of what I was responsible for. So there were things where there was like logistically like a legitimate reason why my job was no longer there. But listen, it was my income, it was my livelihood. It hurt, it sucked, it didn't feel good. Even if it's a logical reason for you to lose your job, it's still an energetic nervous system, punch to the gut, adrenaline, grief. What did I do? What could I have done differently? You're questioning yourself in and out. Absolutely. So here's the thing you have to recall and remember that anytime you suffer that type of severe injury, and a loss of a job is an injury, you have to give yourself healing time. And just like any other healing, if you do it with the proper guidance, aids, experts, it's going to be a faster recovery. It's going to be faster. Just looking at some of the notes here, I can feel it. They can feel it. Yes, indeed, Jennifer. Michelle Dubé, my colleague, uses the lipstick pig analogy. That gets kind of old, doesn't it? But it's kind of funny. Energetic signature reflects exactly where I love this. Healing is possible. Make the clarity call, do the work. Oh, thanks, Paige. Yep, and the underscoring is do the work. We talk to a lot of women on our clarity calls who frankly aren't committed to doing the work. And, you know, we can talk about your problem, but if you're not willing to do the rehab, commit to it, be coached, go deeper to really solve these problems, it's going to continue to affect you. You don't like that, obviously. It doesn't feel good to think, well, why can't I just send out more resumes? It doesn't feel good to think, well, I'll just get better on the interviews. I'll just read a couple more LinkedIn articles on interview tactics, and I'll just keep showing up. And what happens, thank you very much, Kelly, does the healing time similar to ending a relationship, i.e. 10-year relationship, take 5 years? You know, I don't know that there's any formula for healing in the energetic world. As much as there's sort of a range of healing for the physical, where like when I broke my foot, they basically said 6 to 8 weeks. And truthfully, I was a little bit more than 8 weeks on the healing. And then the rehab just took me longer. Why? Is it because I'm older? because I walked on it when it was 3 weeks in. I don't know. Some people who might have been younger, given it more time, elevated it more, put more ice on it, maybe it took them closer to 6 weeks. Like, I don't know. So there's usually a range of time, but I would say that we work women through severe trauma, job-wise and personal, a lot faster than one could predict. So diving in and doing the deep work is really essential, and it's really not a predictable linear time frame because the experience of trauma isn't linear, so it doesn't have a linear answer. It's not a math equation, and I'm not sure that a 10-year relationship would be healed in 5 years. Could be faster than that, could be longer than that. It depends on the relationship and what went down. So there's no linear answer to healing from any type of life or job trauma. What there is the proper expertise and help. One of the great things that I absolutely love about the work that we do with the women in our workshop is we have a team of coaches who have a variety of different expertise and modalities. We basically all hands on deck, and we're helping each of our clients move through whatever they've got in front of them in a variety of ways. Some of our ladies, okay, Trina, yeah, I gotcha, and happy to pick up where you left off, so to speak. And right before that is Danielle. We gave her a voice back after her job trauma. There are different things that are going to occur and happen, and if you don't do the deep enough work, you're going to start cycling back over and over again on the same trodden pathway because it's a known neuro pathway that your body knows. So let's say you lose your job in September, and now it's February, and you've had a car accident. God bless, we had one of our ladies in a car accident, knock on wood. Oops. Any other type of injury, trauma, etc., is going to travel down some of that same neural pathway. It's going to get deeper trodden. So what we always tell our ladies on our clarity calls is, look, solve this now before the nervous pathway gets really deep and trodden. So it's like if you're not driving through your driveway, instead you're driving through your grass, like the first time, maybe you could like repair the grass, but if you keep driving that way over your grass, you're going to ruin the entire grass area, and the next person who comes to your house is going to look like there's like a pathway of where they should put their car because they see your treads. Oh, so they're going to go right there, and they're going to think, oh, there's a driveway, but it looks like people go here. So that's what happens with your nervous system, with your repeated pattern of the trauma. Anything that looks and feels similar is going to travel down that pathway. When you fire your nervous system together, it's going to wire together. So things that are fired together are wired together. And here's the thing that we always see in our ladies. Interviews, thinking about jobs, putting their resume together, thinking about their next level. If that comes on the heels of a job trauma situation, the brain and body are going to go, oh no. And you're going to likely downgrade yourself. If you don't have a loving coach that's going to help lift you through that muck, you're going to downgrade yourself because this brain that knows how to rationalize your fears is going to say, hey, Kathy, you don't need that big director job that you just lost. That was a mistake. You really should hang out at the manager level. And then you're going to go 30K less, and you're going to be at a manager level, and you're going to be like, see, that's exactly what I needed to do. And then you're going to want to give your opinion as if you were the director. And everyone at that level is going to get pissed off at you because don't you know your position is down here? And you're going to look at your paycheck and go, oh man, this isn't cutting it. And then you're not going to be able to give your opinion and your advice at the level you're used to. So you just downgraded yourself and your money. They're not appreciating who you are. You're going to feel like crap. And then you're going to totally get into self-doubt and feeling small again. And it's going to suck even more. So what happens is our subconscious mind will again continue to aggravate us until we make the right move, until we allow our soul to shine as brightly as we really want to shine. If you downgrade yourself because of a job trauma, you're adding insult to injury. And we see it all the time, because the rational brain convinces you that that's the right move to make. Well, I didn't really need to make 110. Making 80 is fine. I didn't really need that 150K job. Making 120 is fine. It's not fine. You don't go backwards. Life is not about backwardsness. Backwardsness is a failed process. So if your career or life has gone backwards, it's because the process is failing. So what you have to do is look at the process, realize it's failing, and make the corrections that are necessary. You can't just put a good resume out front of job trauma and think it's fixed. No. That's like having a hole in your wall and putting wallpaper in front of it. Okay, done, it's fixed. Yay. It doesn't work. You can do it and sort of convince yourself that you don't have to look at it anymore. And then what's going to happen is there's going to be a problem behind that wallpaper, and it's going to come poking through, and then you'll really have a mess on your hands. So don't put a resume or a LinkedIn profile on top of job trauma and think to yourself that that's all it takes, because that energy pattern will absolutely travel to all of your interviews and to your job selection. Guess what, job trauma sufferer? You're going to attract that same pattern. Yeah, you're going to attract that same trauma pattern, because that's where you're hanging out. And if you know anything about the law of attraction, it's not a religion, by the way. It's not a belief system. It's a physics, quantum world reality. You attract energy vibration that is dominant for you. And you might think you want a greater job and a better job, but if you're thinking that you're not worthy of it, if you're thinking I'll never get hired at that level, if you're thinking I don't want that kind of job, and you're resisting your upgrade, and you're backsliding, that energetic pattern of truth is going to show up in your life. And to be your total kick-ass, bring your soul to work, awesome career coach, I'm going to say this to you. Write these words down. What your dominant thinking, feeling pattern is showing up in your life. So look around. What do you see? Is that what you want? Is it? Does it feel right? Look at your paycheck. Is it what you want? Does it feel right? If it all does, okay, bravo. If it doesn't feel right, if it's not enough for you, if it's not your expansion, if it's not the mode in which you sing and are happy every day, if it's not putting you in the I Love Mondays category, it's got to be fixed. You got to fix your process. So if your process starts every single day with feeling bad about yourself and saying unloving thoughts and feelings to yourself, you got to fix that right away, because that will come back into your life. It'll circle up and be right there. Let me just pay attention to some of the comments here. Thanks, Carla. The coach is amazing. You're talking about me? Thank you. Paul, deep work is not easy, but it's worth it. It certainly is, Paula, and you're a testament to that for sure. Trina, I wanted to go small. I know that's a mistake. A big mistake. We never go small. It doesn't work. It's like if you're a size 10 and you're buying size 6 clothes, does that work? No, it doesn't. You're going to rip your clothes. You're not going to put them on. You're going to be pissed at yourself. You're not going to have anything to wear. I mean, that's what goes on. Buy the right size of clothes and totally own it. Lisa Bolin, she's right. Listen to me. That's right, Lisa Bolin. Everyone out there, listen to me. Not even close. Moving forward, and yes, Aaron, up. Yes, indeed. Moving forward and up. Yes, Aaron. Time to rest in peace off that wallpaper. Thanks, ladies. What great supporters and what great beautiful clients and experiences. these ladies are singing the tune because they've been through it and they understand what it's like to have moved through a lot of the things that were holding them back. You can't just effort it. You've got to go into the deeper recesses of your soul and bring it back to life. You know, my mom last year had a failing heart, and she had had some issues with her heartbeat a couple of years, and finally it turned into the fact that her heart just couldn't maintain a heartbeat. So she needed a pacemaker. It was the only solution. The pathway of electrical beat going through her heart basically had gotten worn out. Without a pacemaker, she wouldn't have lived. Now, she could have been in denial and said, well, I'll just try harder to beat my heart. She needed the real treatment protocol. Her process was broken, and in this case, broken for good. So without the proper treatment, her heart would have completely failed and she would no longer be on this planet. Now she has a battery-operated signal going through her ticker, and everything is, knock on wood again. I think I've knocked on wood more times on this Motivational Monday than ever before. So, yes, Aaron, only regret not knowing this existed earlier in my life. So, job trauma, let's boil it down. It's going to haunt you and hurt you until you heal it. That's kind of a little bit of a rhyme. It's going to haunt and heal until you, going to haunt you and hurt you until you heal it. So you have to do the deep work to heal it. My coaches and I do this all the time. Job trauma comes from a variety of different avenues. Job loss, being fired, even quitting is a job trauma. Because you're quitting because you're under duress. You're not quitting like, oh, this job's great, but you know what? I want another one. I'm just going to give myself some space to do that. That's not usually what quitting looks like. Passed over for promotion. How about having a bully boss that absolutely energetically assaults you on a regular basis? There's a woman in our workshop who told us some stories about what people said to her at work. And I just can't believe human beings would say that stuff to each other. And what happens, unfortunately, is that managers and leaders are people first. And a spoiler alert, all managers and leaders are human beings, and they bring their failures and their weaknesses and their vulnerabilities and their failures to work with them as well. And sometimes people can't get that stuff out of their system, and they've repressed it so much that they actually project it on people. Now, here's the thing. If you're getting projected nastiness and meanness, there's a little bit of something you got to fix inside yourself, because for some reason you're attracting that. It's not your fault. It's just that you have an attractor pattern for that type of treatment, and you need to fix that. So job trauma needs to be identified first, and then you need to commit to healing it, giving it the proper treatment, giving it the proper rehab, and bringing your soul back in its greatness is the fastest way to assure going through it, because your brilliance and your greatness actually wants to come out more than you might know. And when it does, it's like this great golden light of healing energy that's going to help take all of this negativity and bring it up and allow you to deal with it in the proper way. Without your soul's energy as the fountain for all of this, it doesn't get really resolved and handled properly. You don't have the main raw materials to handle job trauma, which is why it persists for so many years. Because without that inner light of your divine, soulful, spirited, beautiful self, you can't ever find your way through it. That's why our magic formula is literally magic. So once you see it, see yourself, begin to heal it, move through it, then you can create strategies, and very specific strategies to then up-level yourself and get you where you really know that you ought to be playing in the marketplace. And then the healing keeps coming. And as you keep going forward to opportunities and interviews and testing yourself out there, you know, like I went for a 3-mile walk several weeks ago for the first time after having broken my foot. Sort of went okay. Had a little bit of discomfort during the walk and a little bit afterwards, but it was okay. Now I know I can do that. So a little bit of testing. Each time I lost my jobs, I would go back in the interviews. As a matter of fact, I took care of myself to such a level that each of my job losses allowed me to prep for that next level up. And having lost my job 6 times in my career, if I downgraded after those job losses, we might not even be here talking about your job trauma, because I wouldn't have had the expertise built up over all of those situations to know what to do and how to handle it. Furthermore, to be in a sense of empathy for you. I know exactly what it feels like to lose your job. I've been there. My first job that I lost, I was down to my bare last pennies buying cans of soup for dinner. It was getting pretty bad, and I had to call my potential future employer, who was also my ex-employer. He told me to hang out for a couple of months while they were sorting through the ownership of this cardiac rehab center before I was able to be brought back to work under the new owner. He was the new owner. And I believe I lasted 60 days of not getting paid and not having work. And I basically called him and said, I can't hang out and not work. Don't have those kind of resources. You're going to have to bring me back now or risk losing me. And I was out frantically hunting for another job. But I waited too long, actually, although he did bring me back right then after that call, because I was literally down to my pennies. Seriously, I was pretty thin then. And I was a big runner, and I wasn't eating too much for those 60 days. So things were getting a little bit rough. Each time I went through that, I gained a certain level of dexterity about who I am and what I'm all about. And the final time that happened was right during my breast cancer diagnosis. So I started a brand new job on the end of getting diagnosed with breast cancer and had to actually have my double mastectomy at 2 months into this new job. I was mortified that that was going to be the end of that new job. It wasn't. They took care of me wonderfully, and it was a great experience with that company going through that, and it was lovely. I'm close friends with a lot of people that I worked there with and went through that. But it was scary. It was scary because I was out of work and doing consulting gigs while I was in the process of landing that great job. And I up-leveled the hell out of myself to land that job and to be who I wanted to be. And I had a whole lot of learning and growth that occurred. Frankly, that just stimulated the next several years after that. And that was almost 12 years now, 11 and a half years ago. So take your traumas into the laboratory of self-improvement and build yourself back up. Know that you're worthy of something more and that the trauma in your life is there to stimulate you to grow. If you don't grow, if you just cover it up and go get that next job and I'm not going to let this defeat me, I don't want it to defeat you either, but you've got to heal from it. And you've got to take responsibility of doing something different in order for that not to happen again. Because if you don't do that, it will happen again. I can basically guarantee you that. So many people play the lottery with odds that are absolutely astronomically impossible. But what they fail to do is to do the things that the odds are in your favor. The odds are in your favor of literally winning your career comeback once you dive into healing your trauma and up-leveling yourself. They're in your favor. Why do so few do it? That might be a question I go down asking all the time. Because of the thousands of women I talk to on clarity calls each and every year, only hundreds say yes to themselves. And several dozen of them are on this Facebook Live right now. And I'm so delighted, ladies, that you're here. I'm so delighted that you have fixed your attractor patterns and you've healed yourself and you've brought your souls to a brilliant, beautiful light, because each and every one of you who have fixed the trauma, the uncertainty, the self-doubt, the self-criticism, and the lack of confidence, you have changed your life forever, and you've changed the life of those who have witnessed and watched your expansion. And wherever you're working and living right now, you have been a beneficial aspect to those people's lives as well. That's the beautiful part about this. When you suffer from job trauma and don't fix it, you're a poison to everyone in your life. Don't be that person. Don't be that person who has a negative energetic pattern and you're just polluting everyone else around you. Please don't do that. You're worth much more than that. So are they. So take your life into your own hands. Take your career into your own hands. Be responsible. Get the help and support that's going to nurture your soul, bring it back to life, and heal these harmful patterns that may be in your life. Suffering from job trauma is something that must be dealt with in order for you to have the life and career that you are worth, and for you to have the positive influence in the world that you are meant to have. Being in a job trauma attractor pattern hurts everyone. Do not let it persist. Honor your soul, honor your purpose on earth, claim it back, take responsibility. If you've got patterns that keep repeating themselves, take responsibility for fixing that. If you are like some of the women that we've worked with, you may have had 20 plus years at the same company, and then all of a sudden, wham, some of this negative attractor pattern catches up with you, and all of a sudden you lose your job, get torqued out, new boss comes on the scene, and they're like, who is that person? And they're like, get them out of here. So you don't ever really know. So always take self-responsibility. For fear causes us to stay in negative places. Mo helps walk us through sunnier pictures. Thank you, pastures. Thank you, Laura. And Carla, sadly doing what I always do, got me what I always got. Yes, indeed. And it took saying yes to myself and getting coaching. And Carla, you've been a marvelous client, and you've been so coachable, and I've loved watching you come into your power and your truth. Kim, once on the other side, you can also see it in others and help them too. Kim, absolutely. And Kim is one of my absolutely lovely clients years ago. Kim, I'll never forget this. You challenged me on the everything always works out for me. And you finally found out that that is indeed the way that the world goes. Everything does work out for you, but you have to be willing to claim your own personal self-responsibility and be the caretaker and the owner and the responsible party for your soul, which means then your life and your career. Rock on for this week. And if you're watching me live, it is the Monday of Valentine's week. And as a special, I am doing my daily Mo's all this week as a Galentine's special. So I just love that term. So I am going to be daily live every morning this week through Sunday, where I get to spend time with a dozen or so clients and team members here in South Florida at a brunch. It's a clients only affair, and I am so excited to see everyone in South Florida for brunch. We're going to do our final Facebook Live at that brunch and really have a lot of fun and celebrate those ladies who took their lives in their hands, who took responsibility for who they are and up-leveled themselves, and are beautiful examples of what you can truly do to overcome the career traumas and in some cases the life traumas, and lift yourself above and beyond and really soar in this life. So I will, oh yes, I love that Wayne Dyer quote, Mary, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Woohoo! All right, so if you're not on my email list, please get on my email list, because I send out a lot of different bulletins and information about the times that I'm out there and when I'm doing my stuff on Facebook or my UDD radio show. You want to stay ahead of all of that stuff and get as inspired as possible. This week, my Daily Mo comes to you from the Coach Mo Faul Facebook page, which is where I'm broadcasting this today. And every morning this week, I'm going to give you a Galentine's little gift of career and life love lessons live from your coach. Happy to do so again, since my December Daily Mo was so widely popular. We're going to do it this week, ladies, and we'll Galentine's your souls on the Daily Mo's. We'll see you tomorrow morning and every morning this week. And if not, we'll see you next time here on the Motivational Monday. This is your kick-ass career coach. I say bring your soul to work and land your dream job and live in your dream job. The first step is to do a career clarity call. Book that time now. You'll see the link right below this Facebook Live. If you're hearing this on a podcast, it's mofaul.com/strategy. Get your life and career on track. Take yourself into responsibility mode after job trauma. We'll see you next time. It is your life, only one author, and that's you. Take the best. Bye.